The void was quiet when the trap was sprung. Captain Elena Vargo sat motionless in the command cradle of the HSS Retribution, her eyes fixed on the holotank's swirling light. The sensor display looked like a dying star, thousands of red motes forming a net around her ship. 6 Karth Dominion destroyers, their ion drives burning blue through the debris field, closing in on every axis. The Retribution was alone, her escort delayed 3 jumps behind. A perfect opportunity, the Karth thought. Contact spread confirmed, said Lieutenant Aaron, voice tight. Multiple locks, phase weapons hot. Vargo didn't flinch. She watched the pattern, the arrogance in their formation. A wide funnel to herd prey. Efficient against raiders. Fatal against her. Transmit nothing, she said calmly. Run silent. Passive sensors only. The bridge dimmed to a blood-red glow. Power signatures dropped to near zero. The Retribution drifted among shattered rock and ice, a ghost in the Ragnar drift. On the enemy channel, a voice crackled through the interference, deep, mocking. Terran vessel. This is Admiral Krither Vun of the Dominion Fleet. Power down your reactors and prepare to be boarded. Surrender, and your crew may live. Lieutenant Aaron looked to Vargo, waiting for the signal to reply. Vargo didn't move. Her lips pressed into a faint line, more amusement than fear. Put him on visual, she said. The main screen flickered to life, showing the scaled face of Krither Vun, 4 golden eyes, armored crest rising with pride. Behind him, the glow of command holos and subordinates awaiting his victory. Vargo leaned forward slightly, voice level. You mistake silence for submission. That was your first error. Krither's nostrils flared. You dare. Vargo cut him off, eyes cold as vacuum. The second was announcing yourself. Then she whispered, weapons free. The void erupted. The Retribution came alive like a wounded god. Energy surged through her coils, reactors roaring from standby to full war output in a breath. From beneath her hull, a dozen micro-launchers spat spheres of light, quantum decoy drones, each one broadcasting distorted Terran signatures. The Dominion destroyers panicked, their targeting AI splitting focus across false target. In seconds, the field was chaos, phantom ships flickering among drifting debris. Helm, Vargo ordered, pitch 30 degrees down. Boost to 80%. Bring spinal rail to bear. A deep hum shuddered through the deck as the gravitic projector charged. Target lead ship, Vargo said. Center mass. A pulse of light. The shot was silent, invisible, no heat, no trail. Only the sudden implosion of the Karth destroyer Von's Talon as a 400-gram tungsten slug hit at 12% of light speed. The ship folded in on itself, molten shards scattering across the drift like rain. Direct hit, said Aaron softly. Krither's command channel screamed in disarray. Find them. I want that human ship found. But they couldn't. Every scan returned ghosts. Every echo was false. Vargo leaned back in her chair, watching the chaos unfold. Target the next nearest. Use drift trajectory, minimal burn. From kilometers away, the Retribution's side batteries whispered. Slivers of molten metal slipped through space like knives through silk. Another destroyer, Kralsfong, broke apart mid-turn, its plasma reactors venting like dying stars. 2 confirmed kills, said Aaron. 4 remain. The enemy finally began firing, wild arcs of plasma cutting across the field. 1 beam passed dangerously close, vaporizing an asteroid chunk that drifted too near the Retribution's hull. The bridge lights flickered. Minor shield interference, reported engineering. Vargo nodded. They're guessing. Good. Keep them guessing. She switched the comm back to open. Admiral Krither, you wanted surrender. Here's my reply. She tapped a command. In the shadow of the largest asteroid, dormant charges awoke, mines seeded hours ago when the Retribution first arrived. The field detonated in perfect sync. 3 Dominion destroyers were shredded instantly. Their own shields, tuned for forward defense, offered no protection from below. The remaining ships collided in panic, thrusters flaring in blind retreat. Crithur's voice returned, shrill and furious. "You call this honor, human?" Vargo smiled faintly. "I call it tactics." The battle was over in under 6 minutes. When the dust settled, the Ragnar drift glowed with wreckage. Pieces of alien hull drifted past the Retribution's silent guns. The void was quiet again, eerily so. Lieutenant Aaron broke the silence. "All contacts neutralized. No survivors detected." Vargo nodded slowly. Her expression never changed, but her tone softened just slightly. "Transmit a beacon. Standard recovery notice. Then prepare the next jump." "Ma'am," Aaron asked quietly, "what should we put in the report?" Vargo's gaze lingered on the holotank, on the fading red motes where the Dominion fleet had been. "Write this," she said. "Enemy engaged. Enemy destroyed. Cause of failure, overconfidence." She stood, stepping toward the viewport. The distant stars glittered coldly in the void. "Send a message to the Concord channels," she added. "Let the galaxy know." Her voice dropped to a whisper, meant for the dark. "This is why you don't ambush a Terran ship." The Retribution's engines ignited once more, vanishing into the black, leaving only drifting wrecks and a silent warning among the stars. The Dominion fleet arrived 12 hours later, too late to save anyone. Where once Admiral Crithur's 6 destroyers had stalked the void, there was now only drifting debris. Frozen bodies, molten hull fragments, and the faint radiation echo of high-velocity kinetic strike. Admiral Sevra Tour, Crithur's superior and rival, stood on the bridge of the KDS Rathborn, tail twitching as her golden eyes scanned the devastation. The sensor readouts painted an ugly picture. No survivors, no escape pods, and not a single Terran signature left in the region. She hissed through her fangs. 6 destroyers. Gone. Without a single distress burst. Her adjutant, a young Karth officer, hesitated. "Records show brief communications, Admiral." Then silence. The final burst from Crithur's ship, unintelligible static. Possibly a reactor overload. Sevra's crest flared. "Overload or deliberate obliteration. And you say one human cruiser did this?" "Yes, Admiral. One vessel. HSS Retribution." That name carried weight, even here. The humans used words like that purposefully. Every Terran ship's name was a warning, a memory, or a promise. Sevra turned toward the holodisplay, her claws tapping a slow rhythm on the console. "Pull blackbox telemetry. I want to see exactly what killed them." Minutes later, the holotank flickered to life, replaying Crithur's final engagement. The Karth fleet encircling a lone ship. The demand for surrender. The silence. Then, lightning. Explosions. False targets flooding sensors until the Dominion destroyers fired on shadows. Sevra's expression hardened as the Vaughn's Talon vanished in an implosion. The replay froze as the kinetic slug hit. The AI reconstructed its trajectory in blue light, originating precisely from the Retribution's position. That projectile speed? Estimated 12% of light, the adjutant said. Mass 400 grams. Gravitic assisted. No plasma trace, no heat bloom. Pure kinetic energy. Sevra's tail went still. 400 grams, she murmured. And it vaporized a destroyer. Yes, Admiral. And Crithur's entire formation was wiped out in 6 minutes? Yes, Admiral. Sevra turned slowly, voice dropping to a low growl. And the Terrans call this a cruiser. Hours later, Sevra gathered her tactical council in the Rathborn's war room. 6 destroyers gone, and the Terrans have broadcast their report across the frontier. Enemy engaged. Enemy destroyed. Cause of failure, overconfidence. The room filled with uneasy murmurs. Among the Karth, shame was worse than death. Crithur's name would be burned from their archives, his bloodline dishonored. "Admiral," one officer said, "perhaps this was not a cruiser. The humans could have deployed a stealth battleship. Or—" Sevra cut him off. Do not make excuses for failure. Crithur thought he faced prey. He found predators. She gestured toward the projection, the last transmission from the Retribution. A faint, encoded Terran signal repeating over and over, nearly lost in static. Her analysts had finally decrypted it. It was a voice. Calm. Female. This is why you don't ambush a Terran ship. Silence followed. The war room dimmed, lit only by the flickering hologram of a human captain standing amid shadow. She taunted us, muttered one of the officers. No, Sevra replied quietly. She educated us. Later, in her private chamber, Sevra activated a secure channel to the Dominion Council. The connection opened with the shimmer of distant stars and the cold eyes of High Strategos Vunhar, brother of the late Crithur. Report, he commanded. Sevra bowed her head. Your brother engaged a Terran vessel at Ragnar Drift. He and his fleet are gone. Vunhar's voice was low, restrained. And the humans? Departed. No trace. The drift itself still radiates from their weapons' discharge. The Strategos was silent for a long moment. We underestimated them again. Sevra hesitated. Respectfully, sir, we still do. The humans' technology isn't superior. Their psychology is. They fight as though extinction is routine. Every engagement, every skirmish, it's as if they've already accepted death, and that makes them impossible to corner. Vunhar's golden eyes narrowed. And what would you propose, Admiral? I propose we stop hunting them like animals. We study them. Learn why a species so young commands so much fear. Then, perhaps, we learn how to defeat them. He regarded her coldly. And if we fail again? Then we pray, she said simply, that they show us mercy they've never needed to ask for. The transmission ended. Meanwhile, half a sector away, the HSS Retribution coasted silently through slipspace. The crew was quiet. They'd seen the aftermath of their own precision firsthand. Dozens of lives erased by orders given without hesitation. Lieutenant Aaron approached the command cradle. Ma'am, Dominion channels are active again. They're investigating Ragnar Drift. Vargo didn't look up. Her gaze was locked on a small holographic chessboard projected over her chair arm. One black piece moved forward. Let them, she said. Should we alter course? Vargo finally met his eyes. No. We move to the next waypoint as planned. Our mission isn't over. Aaron hesitated. Permission to ask, what is our mission now? Vargo's voice was quiet, but carried the weight of steel. They ambushed us expecting surrender. They'll do it again. Every time they do, we'll remind them of what humanity learned the hard way. War isn't about who fires first. She turned the black chess piece, the queen, in her fingers. It's about who finishes the game. Outside, slipspace shimmered like blue fire around the Retribution's hull. Her engines burned in silence, carving through folded dimensions toward another frontier world where rumors of human defiance were spreading like wildfire. Captain Elena Vargo leaned back in her command seat, eyes closed briefly as the stars blurred into endless streaks of light. Prepare the next message, she ordered. Mark it for open broadcast. Aaron blinked. What should it say, Captain? Vargo opened her eyes. The same as last time. Moments later, across the Dominion's communication networks, a signal echoed through the void. Calm. Steady. Terran. This is the HSS Retribution. To any who listen, do not mistake restraint for weakness. Do not mistake silence for fear. And never ambush a Terran ship. The galaxy listened. Some dismissed it as propaganda. Others, those who had fought humans, heard something else in the message. Not arrogance. Not vengeance. Just certainty. The Dominion didn't wait long to strike back. 3 weeks after Ragnar Drift, their retaliation began. Fleets repositioned, scouts went silent, and rumors spread across the frontier. Rumors of a crippled Terran ship, hiding among the wreckage of the abandoned mining colony at Ithra Prime. A perfect lure. To the Dominion, the bait was irresistible. To Captain Elena Vargo, it was obvious. 4 fleets converging, Lieutenant Aaron reported, eyes fixed on the tactical map. Transmission traces from multiple channels. Dominion chatters intentionally sloppy, they want us to hear. Vargo leaned against the holotank, studying the web of red vectors moving toward Ithra Prime. Too many ships. Too much noise. They're trying to make us believe they don't care if we hear it. Which means they desperately do. Aaron frowned. So what's the play? She smiled faintly. We'll give them what they want. Ithra Prime, 3 days later. The planet was dead, frozen plains beneath a toxic sky, mining spires half buried in centuries of dust. Once rich in helium-3, now little more than a graveyard of abandoned machines. The Dominion fleets surrounded it with methodical precision. Admiral Severatour's KDS Rathborn held position at high orbit, flanked by 2 carriers and a dozen cruisers. Her command deck pulsed with activity. Long-range scans confirmed the Terran signature, Admiral. Minimal power output. Possibly disabled. Severa's crest rippled, equal parts caution and hunger. Deploy intercept wings. No bombardment. I want the Terran ship intact. The Council demands proof that we can beat them. The bridge crew nodded and began transmitting orders. Hundreds of Dominion strike craft streaked toward the surface, their plasma drives carving lines of fire through the upper atmosphere. Deep below, amid the planet's magnetic storms, something stirred. Inside the buried ruins of Ithra Prime, the HSS Retribution lay dormant, reactors offline, heat dampeners active, hull temperature matching the frozen terrain. The ship was practically invisible to standard scans. Vargo watched through a narrow viewport as faint plasma trails burned across the sky. They took the bait, she murmured. Lieutenant Aaron exhaled slowly. Severatour herself is in command. She's smart, Captain. Vargo nodded. Smarter than Crither was. But that just means she'll be careful. She won't realize she's already in range. She turned to the tactical officer. Ready the gravitic wells. Full coverage. I want their formation trapped when they enter the upper atmosphere. Aye, Captain. Engineering, Vargo continued. Bring reactors online in silent spin-up. 50% output. And prime the Nova lattice. There was a pause on the comms. Captain, deploying that weapon inside atmosphere. Won't destroy the planet, Vargo said coldly. Just the people who came to kill us. High above, Admiral Severa felt a shiver crawl down her spine as her ships began their descent. Something about the stillness below set her on edge. Status, she demanded. All ships reading stable, Admiral. Gravity wells normal. No anomalies. She nodded, but her claws tapped the console in a slow, uneasy rhythm. No anomalies, she repeated. And yet I can't feel the enemy. The words barely left her mouth when the Rathborn's sensors screamed. Warning! Gravitic distortions forming around the fleet. What? Below, in the thin atmosphere, massive gravitational wells unfolded like invisible jaws. The Retribution's hidden emitters tore open the space-time fabric around Ithra Prime, locking the Dominion fleet in place. Engines failed. Navigation spiraled into chaos. Then came the light. From the planet's surface, the Retribution rose, black hull gleaming with reflected fire, rail batteries glowing like molten veins. The Nova lattice pulsed once, twice, then released. A wave of compressed plasma, silent and blinding, expanded outward. The Dominion carriers disintegrated instantly, shields overloading in brilliant white arc. Cruisers twisted apart, their hulls folding like paper under the tidal stress. Admiral Severa's ship shuddered violently as alarms wailed. Shields collapsing. We're losing structural cohesion. She stared at the tactical readout, unable to believe it. It's not possible. No energy reading before impact. How did they? Then realization struck. They used the planet's magnetic storms to hide the charge buildup. A calculated silence. A trap within a trap. Admiral, cried her comms officer, we're receiving a broadcast. Terran origin. The voice filled the bridge. Calm. Controlled. Familiar. Admiral Severatur. This is Captain Elena Vargo of the HSS Retribution. You wanted proof humanity could bleed. I'll offer you something better, education. The transmission cut as the Retribution's railguns fired again. Tungsten rounds, accelerated to relativistic speed, punched through what remained of the Dominion flagship's armor. The Wrathborn ruptured along its spine, venting molten debris and atmosphere in a spectacular halo. Severa's claws dug into the command rail as her ship broke apart. "Evacuate," she roared. "All hands!" The deck vanished in a storm of light. Minutes later, silence returned to Ithra Prime. Only drifting wreckage remained, burning faintly as it fell toward the planet's dead surface. On the Retribution's bridge, the crew watched without celebration. Erin's voice was quiet. She was smarter than Crither. Still not enough. Vargo's expression was unreadable. Because she thought this was revenge. She didn't understand. Humans don't fight for vengeance. Erin hesitated. Then what do we fight for? Vargo's gaze drifted to the stars. For memory. Every time someone thinks we'll surrender, every time they forget what we are, we remind them. She turned toward her comms officer. Open broadcast. Standard range. Ready, Captain. Vargo spoke clearly, each word measured and deliberate. To all Dominion fleets. You sought to ambush humanity again. You found extinction instead. This message is not a threat. It's a warning. If you come for us, come prepared. Because we are. The Retribution ascended through the wreckage, her hull illuminated by the glow of a dying fleet. As the ship disappeared into the silence of space, the frozen plains of Ithra Prime were left with a single monument, the scorched shadow of a Dominion flagship etched into the planet's crust, glowing faintly in the twilight. Somewhere, on the Dominion's distant capital, that image would soon arrive, broadcast through every channel, every military command, every fearful whisper among the stars. And every commander would remember the message that followed. Do not ambush a Terran ship. 427 standard days, the galaxy burned with rumors. Whispers carried across slipspace. Of a lone Terran ship that turned ambushes into graveyards, of Dominion fleets that never returned. Some called it myth. Others called it prophecy. But inside the Sol Defense Command Nexus, deep beneath the Martian surface, it was simply a classified report. Admiral Nathan Hale, commander of the Terran Outer Defense Initiative, stood before a wall of tactical holograms. Each red marker represented a destroyed Dominion formation. Each trace led back to one ship, HSS Retribution. 3 confirmed engagements, his aide reported. Ragnar Drift, Ithra Prime, and the Daran Pass anomaly. Total enemy losses: 28 ships, 3 carriers, 1 flagship. 0 Terran casualties. Hale's expression was granite. And Captain Vargo? Still operating independently, sir. No communication since Ithra Prime. She's following the directive. That word, directive, hung heavy in the air. Continue tracking, Hale ordered quietly. But do not intercept. Not yet. He turned toward the observation deck, where the blue glow of Mars reflected against glass. The galaxy's watching, he murmured. Let them. Aboard the HSS Retribution. Slipspace folded around the ship like dark water. The crew moved in practiced silence, the hum of the reactors a familiar heartbeat. Captain Elena Vargo sat alone in her quarters, staring at an encrypted communiqué, one that had arrived moments ago, bypassing all known security filters. The header simply read, "From Earth Command." She opened it. Directive confirmed. Phase 2 authorized. Signal the fleet. She read it twice, then deleted the message. No hesitation. No emotion. Just the weight of inevitability. Vargo tapped her comm bridge, signal ready condition across all decks, and prepped the long band beacon. Lieutenant Erin's voice came through immediately. The recall code, Captain? Yes. A pause. Then, quietly, So it's time. It's time, she confirmed. The beacon launched from the Retribution's hull, a small sphere of light swallowed instantly by slipspace. Its signal pulsed outward, faster than light, encoded in the old Terran language. Alia Iacta est, the die is cast. Across human space, ships stirred. From the lunar docks, massive silhouettes began to move. Titans of the Sol Fleet, ships so vast they generated their own weather systems. From the shipyards of Titan, hidden under the methane seas, hundreds of stealth cruisers rose in silent unison. From deep orbit above Proxima Centauri, orbital rail platforms reactivated after decades of silence. Humanity had never been idle. They had been waiting. Dominion Central Command, Carth Prime. The War Council convened in chaos. Reports flooded in from the frontier. Fleets missing, colonies unresponsive, communication lines jammed. High Strategos Vunhar slammed his clawed hand against the table. This is not a war, it's extermination. They are striking without fleets, without warning. We need counterintelligence, now. An aide trembled. Our analysts have decrypted the human beacon, Strategos. It's not military code. It's ancient Terran. The meaning is unclear. Vunhar hissed. Translate it. The aide swallowed. It means, the die is cast. The Strategos froze. Then his tail lashed violently. They're mobilizing. All of them. He turned to the holomap, where hundreds of new Terran signatures appeared, spreading across every known corridor of space. This isn't vengeance, he muttered. It's declaration. Outer rim, neutral zone. The Retribution exited slipspace in the shadow of a cold, dying star. Before them waited a vast emptiness, until it wasn't empty. One by one, shadows emerged. Destroyers. Battleships. Dreadnoughts. Their hulls black as obsidian, their lights glowing faintly blue. Each bore the same insignia, the mark of the Earth Authority Defense Fleet. Aaron stared through the viewport, awe breaking his usual composure. By the stars! Vargo rose from her command cradle, voice low but steady. Fleet status. Communications lit up in a chorus of voices. This is HSS Iron Resolve, standing by. Dauntless online and weapons hot. Ares Wing, formation complete. Awaiting orders. Hundreds of ships, each crewed, armed and ready. Vargo activated the fleet-wide channel. This is Captain Elena Vargo, HSS Retribution. You've all seen what they tried to do. They thought humanity was fractured, weak, alone. Her voice hardened. They were wrong. The Dominion believes they've seen our strength. They haven't. They've seen restraint. The silence that followed was electric. We move on their frontier colonies first, she continued. No unnecessary killing. We disable, we capture, we send a message. Humanity doesn't seek conquest. But we will never be prey again. Understood, Captain, came the chorus of voices. Then let's begin. The fleet turned as one. Hundreds of ships sliding into perfect formation, engines igniting with white fire. The void around them bent under the gravity of their mass. From a distance it looked like a storm, a tidal wave of light and metal surging toward the Dominion frontier. The Retribution led the charge. Carth Frontier. The opening strike. The Dominion listening post at Varen's Gate detected the anomaly too late. Their sensors blinked red, confused by hundreds of simultaneous quantum signatures. The officer on duty barely had time to speak. Multiple warp breaches. There. The rest of his sentence vanished under a soundless flash of light. The human fleet tore through the station's defenses like glass. EMPs disabled weapons, precision rail slugs shattered command decks, and in under 7 minutes, the outpost was silent. Vargo's fleet moved on, leaving survivors alive, deliberately. The Dominion needed witnesses. She turned to Aaron. Send the standard broadcast. He nodded. To all Dominion systems. Humanity does not seek war. But you brought it to our doorstep. This is our answer. Withdraw from human space, or there will be no space left to withdraw to. Hours later, Sol Command Nexus. Admiral Hale watched the fleet telemetry in silence. Dozens of Dominion strongholds erased. No civilian casualties. Every strike surgical, deliberate. An aide whispered, "Sir, the galaxy is terrified. The Dominion's allies are abandoning their borders." Hale's jaw tightened. Good. Fear is cheaper than war. He turned away from the screens, hands clasped behind his back. Let Vargo finish the job. Aboard the HSS Retribution, as the fleet sailed through the ashes of the Dominion frontier, Aaron approached quietly. "Captain, we've received encrypted confirmation from Earth. The directive's success level is sufficient. They say you can stand down." Vargo didn't answer right away. Her gaze was fixed on the swirling dust of a destroyed enemy relay. "No," she said finally. "Not yet. They still don't understand." "Understand what, Captain?" "That humanity doesn't win wars," she said softly. "We end them." The Retribution turned once more toward the stars, toward the Dominion heartworlds that still burned with arrogance. Behind her, the human fleet followed, silent and unstoppable. The war had just changed shape. And somewhere, across the galaxy, the message played again, unchanged, eternal, and true. Do not ambush a Terran ship. The Dominion's capital world, Karth Prime, had never known silence. Its skies always thundered with the roar of fleets, its cities glowed with the light of victory processions, and its people believed themselves unchallenged rulers of the spiral arm. Until the day the sky went dark. Every star above the capital dimmed, swallowed by shadows moving in perfect, synchronized silence. Hundreds of human ships, each bearing the mark of Earth authority, dropped from slipspace in flawless formation. And at their heart, leading the charge like judgment itself, came the HSS Retribution. In the war room of the Dominion High Council, panic reigned. "Impossible!" barked High Strategos Vunhar, his voice a hiss of disbelief. "They cannot have reached Karth Prime. Our defense grid is the strongest in the galaxy." "Sir," an officer cried, "the defense grid has been disabled. Power relays have gone dark across all hemispheres." "It's as if they knew where to strike," Vunhar finished grimly. A low tremor rippled through the fortress. Somewhere far below, an explosion boomed. The officer turned, trembling. "Multiple orbital impacts. They're not firing to destroy Strategos. They're targeting command towers, weapons silos, selectively disabling." Vunhar's crest flattened in realization. "They're showing restraint." And restraint, he knew, was far more terrifying than annihilation. Orbit, HSS Retribution. The fleet held steady above the capital, black silhouettes against a burning atmosphere. Captain Elena Vargo stood at the center of her bridge, surrounded by the soft hum of systems running flawlessly. The Retribution had sustained 0 damage across 4 campaigns. It had become a symbol, a myth, a weapon of perfect precision. "Report," she said. Lieutenant Aaron's eyes danced over the holograph. "Planetary shields down. Orbital guns neutralized. Dominion command network fragmented. They're hailing us, Captain, every channel." Vargo nodded once. "Open main line." The screen flared to life, revealing the trembling image of High Strategos Vunhar. His golden eyes burned with fury and fear. "This is the Dominion Capital Command," he roared. "Identify yourself, human." Vargo didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "This is Captain Elena Vargo, commanding the HSS Retribution. You have violated our sovereign territory. Withdraw or face." "Face what?" she interrupted. The calm precision in her tone cut deeper than any weapon. "Your fleets are gone. Your defenses offline. Your capital surrounded. You have no leverage left, Strategos." Vunhar's claws clenched. "If you mean to kill us, human, do it. But know this, history will remember the Dominion's fall as the result of Terran treachery." Vargo's expression hardened. "No. History will remember it as consequence. She gestured to Aaron. Transmit global broadcast. Across the Dominion's worlds, every screen, every comms relay, every beacon flickered to life, showing the calm, unflinching face of a human woman against the backdrop of the stars. People of the Dominion, this is not conquest. This is correction. Your leaders ambushed a single Terran ship, expecting surrender. They received annihilation. Since then, they've sent fleet after fleet to hunt us. And each time, they found the same truth humanity learned long ago. Mercy is for those who stop killing. Surrender now and live. Resist, and you will not even have wreckage left to mourn. She paused. The silence carried more weight than any declaration of war. We are not your enemies, but we are your reminder that the galaxy's arrogance ends where humanity begins. The broadcast cut. Carth Prime, Dominion High Command. The war room was silent. Every officer stared at the frozen image on the screen, the human captain's calm face staring back at them like judgment carved from ice. Finally, Vunhar exhaled a long, shuddering breath. Prepare the surrender signal. The aide blinked. Sir. You heard me, he snapped. They could have raised the planet. Instead, they disabled it. That restraint is a weapon sharper than any blade. We cannot fight what refuses to hate us. He looked up once more at Vargo's image, fading into static. She did what no conqueror ever could, he muttered. She ended us without blood. Orbit aboard the Retribution. Transmission incoming, Aaron said quietly. They're surrendering, Captain. Full military stand down. Every Dominion ship. Vargo closed her eyes for a moment. Relief didn't reach her features, but her posture softened just slightly. Signal acknowledgement, she said. Then begin humanitarian drop. Food, medpacks, relief drones. We're not here to enslave them, we're here to end the cycle. Aaron hesitated. After everything they did, that's mercy. Vargo looked at him, her voice low. No, Lieutenant. That's strategy. Empires rebuilt in hate don't stay fallen. But ones that remember mercy never rise against us again. 3 days later, broadcast from Earth. Admiral Hale addressed the galaxy from the Sol Council's orbital station. Behind him shimmered the holographic banner of the Terran Accord. The war with the Dominion is over. The Terran Authority accepts their surrender and guarantees protection for all species under Dominion rule. Let this mark not the end of peace, but the beginning of understanding. Humanity does not seek empire. We seek balance. And to those who still doubt, remember the name Retribution. The message reached every corner of known space, and every civilization that heard it understood, Earth's silence was not weakness. It was patience. Aboard the Retribution, final scene. The Retribution drifted quietly above Carth Prime, her black hull reflecting the faint light of dawn rising over a once proud capital. Lieutenant Aaron approached. Command has ordered us home, Captain. We've done it. Vargo looked out the viewport. Far below, Dominion citizens were emerging from underground shelters, gazing skyward at the Terran relief ships descending through the clouds. Yes, she said softly. It's done. Aaron smiled faintly. They'll tell stories about this forever. How one ship brought an empire to its knees. Vargo's eyes stayed on the horizon. Then I hope they tell it right. She turned, voice steady. Tell them it wasn't power that won. It was discipline. The bridge fell quiet as the Retribution's engines flared to life. The ship rose higher, vanishing into the thin upper atmosphere, silent, unstoppable, eternal. Epilogue. Centuries later, at the Galactic War Academy on Carth Prime, cadets still study the Retribution Doctrine, the human strategy that ended the last Great War. The first line of the doctrine is etched into the Academy's gates. They ambushed a human ship, expecting surrender. And what followed was annihilation.